welcome to 50 Movies in 50 Weeks. I'm your host, Joey Hollywood, and I normally try to get through all 50 movies in this 50 movie box set in 50 weeks. However, we've already covered the movie that was supposed to be for today in this box set. That movie was going to be The Manster from 1962, but we covered that, I think, last year, the year before, I can't remember. So we're pivoting over to this box for another anti-drug propaganda film titled She Shoulda Said No from the year 1949. Now before we get into this, I'm going to, and I promise, very briefly take a little tangent. Last week's video, I got a comment, I'm not going to put it on the screen, but someone was complaining that I talked more about myself than the movie. I was a good sport about it, and they seemed to not hate me after I responded. But yeah, the last few videos, I will admit, have been pretty poor. I fell behind. When the movie doesn't give me a lot to work with and I'm stressed, I talk about myself. What can I say? But I promise for these last two that I will try to stick to the topic at hand. So yeah, the movie I watched today was She Shoulda Said No from 1949. And I gotta say, as far as quality goes, I think this might be the best anti-drug propaganda film we've come across. I think it's even better than Reefer Madness, because Reefer Madness is very funny, but all the entertainment value comes from the fact that it is so poor. I think that this movie actually has an engaging plot, and the stuff that's supposed to be fear-mongery also translates to comedy. But at the time, I could also see this working I also view this as a more effective propaganda piece. It operates under the idea of marijuana being the gateway drug, which I think is an idea that's been disproven in the recent decades. But they do the whole thing of like, okay, they are chasing that dragon. They move from marijuana to, I think they jump the shark and they say to like heroin or crack or something. I can't remember what they jump to, but they show a woman with like pop marks all over her wrists and stuff. And some of that stuff, I think for the time, could be very effective at deterring younger people away from drugs. I think at the time it's effective. I think the way it's handled in this is at times comical. The plot of the movie is this lady is trying to send her little brother through college. And she's doing that through, I think she's a waitress or maybe a go-go dancer. I'm not sure. I think I'm getting two movies confused now. I just watched this. I think she was a waitress. And she starts picking up a little bit of extra money on the side by dealing marijuana. And she eventually loses her job, and she starts dealing marijuana full time. And her brother finds out about it, and he kills himself because he'd rather be dead than have a sister than go to school with drug money. It's very melodramatic, but I think at the time this is very effective. It's melodramatic now, it's very silly now, but I think at the time it worked. So I think there's multiple layers to this, why I think this is a better movie than Reefer Madness. Not as funny as Reefer Madness, but I think it's more engaging. Like, I couldn't tell you the plot of Reefer Madness, and I've seen it a million times. The plot of this is pretty, it drives the film. The comedy of the fear-mongering of marijuana drives the film in Reefer Madness. The plot drives this, and I think that's something to say in this movie's favor. So she starts, her life falls off the rails after her brother dies. She just starts dealing dope left and right, and she eventually gets caught up in a sting. And in this sting, she starts working to get her jail time removed. She starts working with the cops to capture the marijuana ring. And that's mostly the plot of it. But there are a lot of like really interesting scenes where they show the effects of other more severe drugs. Like you talked about the lady with the pop marks on her arms. But they also show, I remember this from high school, where they show like someone who's done crack. They're like, this is a 20-year-old. This is after 2 years on crack, and they look like a 40-year-old. They do that same gag in here, but it's very clearly makeup. And I think they also suggest that marijuana does that, even though, from what I understand, marijuana makes your face puffy so you look younger. I don't know if that's true. Don't quote me on that. I think a lot of this stuff works. However, the scenes where they are smoking the weed is so funny. There's a part where this guy's playing the piano and he's playing it okay, but then you see inside his mind and he's playing for like thousands of people. Everyone's pretending to fly and dance, and they're talking about silly stuff. One guy's like, oh, I'm gonna die, and he tries to jump out of a window. It's got those scenes in it, which I think are standard for a 1950s anti-drug propaganda film. There's a reason why there are fans of these movies, and I think this might be one of the better ones. Reefer Madness is a classic. I like it. But we've watched several of them on here so far, and I think this is the only one that I would even remotely consider watching again. It was not only funny for what it was also entertaining. I would recommend this one. I know not a lot of you might have this box set, but I'm sure this is on YouTube. If you're into these anti-drug propaganda films from the olden times, definitely give this one a watch. I think it was maybe the highlight of this box set. Reefer Madness was not a highlight of this box set because I've seen it a million times. But this definitely was a highlight. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. I was a little nervous because the title was She Shoulda Said No, so I had to Google to make sure it was about marijuana. Oh, also, before I forget, the movie opens up with this text crawl, as all these films do. And I don't know if my reading comprehension is deteriorating with age, but I thought it said that the same people who sell marijuana also had a scam where they were selling dried tomatoes as cigarettes. And I was like, what? And I went down this rabbit hole on my phone during the first maybe 5 minutes of the movie where I was trying to figure out, did people smoke tomatoes? And no, I'm just a moron. The drug runners in this movie label their boxes as tomatoes. Not that people smoke it. I don't know. I don't know why I thought that. But anyways, that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Next week is our last movie. So, I'm not prepared for it. I've had quite a crazy past few months. I'm behind on literally every project I'm working on. But I hope that we stick this landing and we can prep season 5, the final season of this show. I really appreciate you guys watching for all this time. I will leave you with that. Thank you so much. Remember, please be kind and rewind.